Hello everyone and welcome back. It is me, the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarrior Studios and you're all here for Tech Tuesday. So, today we're going to take a little journey, digging a little bit deeper into Kali Purple Edition. Now, with that, understand there are going to be some tools that we do not use. However, I will be putting the links down below in the description so that you can look at the wiki pages and do a little bit of research on your own. The reason I will not be using some of these tools is either A, I don't have the equipment to do so, or B, to be completely honest, some of them are just not something I want to get into right now due to how they are. Because when it comes to reconnaissance and things of that nature and some of your active scans and some of the things they can do, I do not have a lab set up right now that would allow me to do some of these things. So just a heads up, that is what we're going to be doing. Now, the other thing is, what I did find out is by default, Nmap is not installed on Kali Purple. Or at least not that I was able to get to work. So I had to install it manually. So for anybody that's wondering about how to do that, well, it's pretty simple. Sudo apt install nmap. Now, if you have any issues with that, again, that command will be down below in the description. You don't necessarily need nmap. However, it is a very useful tool that I was quite shocked wasn't there. But without further ado, let's take a look at what we have here. So for starters, while we're in here, and actually let me make this a little bigger for you this time so that it's a little easier to see. This is when I first set up Defect Dojo, I believe it is, but let's go in and kind of look at these tools. What we're going to do every week is we're going to go through each section of this. So Identify has a few tools in here, some you know, some you may not, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of an explanation. AMAS is actually an OWASP tool. Kind of like you see Zapped on there and Merriam. They actually have a lot of OWASP tools in this one, which is quite nice. So AMAS is one of those tools I'm not going to use. I will put the wiki for it down in the description below, and you'll be able to play around with it. But essentially, it allows you to scan massive amounts of IP addresses and do a lot of things similar to what you can do with Nmap. However, it's made for bulk IPs. So it runs really quick. You can do a lot with it. I was doing some research on it myself just because it's a tool I've never needed to use. And it's actually quite neat how it works. So
I didn't get that. Could you try?
And of course, my watch had to interrupt me. So this right here, it'll allow you to import things into Maltego. It will have a bunch of different subcommands to enumerate different directory structures and files and IP addresses, different DNS names. You can dig into subdomains, things of that nature. So this is all pretty cool. I do like what it has. I do like the ability to visualize, enumerate, kind of track all these targets and things that you're doing. And it's something that I may have to look into more just because in our line of work, when you're working in cybersecurity, you can never go wrong with knowing more tools and how I'm actually using them. If you could put them to work for you, go ahead and do so. But if you run an enumeration, like they say, GraphDB stores it all. It'll pull this up and it creates an actual enumeration for you. So good information to know. It's just not something I'm going to be digging into today, but it is a nice tool. Moving on from that, they have another tool. And this one, I like it and I don't like it at the same time. So the next one is called Asset Finder. So if we click this, and again, let me make this bigger for you. So we're going to use my domain. Now, apparently I've got to clean up some DNS entries, but that's okay. So if we do Asset Finder and we say cyberwarriorstudios.com and hit enter. What this does is it pulls down all of the domains that cyberwarriorstudios.com owns, including subdomains. So you'll see I have an IRC server that I was running at one point. One of us, so back when I had a I had a temporary website, back when I was running a blog. Discord and YouTube are still there. If you go to those links, you'll be able to join my Discord server, or just go down below and click the link, and you're watching this on YouTube. But what these allow me to do is I have forwarders and things like that set up, and Asset Finder is really nice for this. But there's also a lot of online services that do this for you too. So depending on how you operate as a pen tester or someone that's doing OSINT or anything along those lines, this could be a great tool for you, and it's well worth using, and you can even build it into certain scripts and things like that. However, if you're like some others, like myself, that have always just used online services that'll go out and pull all the DNS registries and everything like that to get the subdomains anyways, then that might work out better for you. So honestly, it's just a point of preference in how much scripting you're doing, and especially if you're building bash scripting, bash scripts, kind of like the Discover scripts for Kali that are out there by Lee Baird. To run a bunch of these tools, it's a great way to just kind of script everything together without worrying about websites as well. So I think it's cool. Again, I don't know how much I would use it, but it's there in case you want to. So let's move on down the line. The next tool, which I found that I can't use because I don't have any Cisco equipment here, is the Cisco auditing tool. So if we click this one, essentially what this will do is it'll run an auditing check with passwords and iOS histories, does a lot of guessing and scans for a lot of vulnerabilities that could be in Cisco routers and switches and things of that nature. So again, I don't have any Cisco equipment here to run this on. I don't even have an iOS to run it on through GNS3 or anything like that. But it is a cool tool. It's been in just about every version of Kali that I've seen. So it's one of those tools that, because of its capability within finding vulnerabilities and identifying vulnerabilities within a target network, they always keep. So good to still see it here. It's just not something that I can personally use right now. Otherwise, go through, play with it if you have GNS3, if you have an old router or switch sitting around at home. Go ahead, give it a shot, run it against it, see what you can do. I'd love to know your results. So if you do create something or if you do have some results with it, please let me know. All the ways you can find me on social media are down below. And I'd love to see what you get from this, because I have yet to get my hands on any Cisco networking equipment to give it a shot. Next, and probably in my eyes, one of the better applications I've seen within this operating system is Defect Dojo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start it up. And the thing about Defect Dojo is it is actually a, what's the term I want to put on it? It's basically a board for managing application security vulnerabilities. So if I go to here and do my number lock, go there. So normally you'd log in, but I've already logged in before and it saved my credentials. So you have Defect Dojo, and you can actually view engagements and findings and things of that nature. So as an open source tool, if you don't have anything to monitor application security vulnerabilities within your network, or if you're running multiple engagements, this is very, very cool, and it's laid out really well. You can do by product. You could set by product type. I was digging into this a little bit, but unfortunately, I don't have anything that I can run it against. API test, app spiders, Aquascan. There's so much you can do within this to do different test types. So some of it, I'm sure there's plugins that you'd have to pay for to be able to utilize. To have a free AppSec vulnerability management board is crucial, especially in this day and age with a lot of people creating their own applications, and we see so many vulnerabilities on the web based on API vulnerabilities and just programming in general of certain applications. So this is huge, and I really, really do like it. It'll tell you host, endpoints, everything like that that's running it. So really cool, really cool. You get metrics, critical metrics. You can manage users and groups, so you can give other people access to this within your network. You can set up your engagements based on a calendar, so you can put stuff in there. And then you could, if you're going to have testing a certain day. And then you have questionnaires. This is where it really comes in handy, because if I go into something like access control, you could have the description, everything. And if we go into, let's go back. I don't want to edit it. I want to active, true. Where'd you go? All questions. All right. So here's all your questions, 41 different questions. And depending on what you're doing, it'll be assigned to a different questionnaire. So if we were doing an evaluation or anything like that, that's when we would be able to get these. But what kind of infrastructure will you be using? Will there be a staging or pre-prod environment? All of this stuff is vital. And if you're doing any type of application security scans, if you're using anything to really be an AppSec pen tester, a web app pen tester, these questions are vital to performing a web application pen test, because then you can get this information and be able to get these questions answered. So when you go test, you already know all this, and it'll give you a little bit more foresight into the type of testing you're going to be doing. But saying that, credential managers, login banners, all this stuff you can change. System settings, how you want the time. Do you want to enable GitHub integration? Do you want to integrate with Jira? Yes, this does have Jira integration. So things you are running, tests you're doing, anytime you get a certain criticality, you have that integration. You have SLAs on findings. You can auto close engagements. You have custom disclaimers. So all of this stuff can be configured. You can enable Google Sheets integrations, rules frameworks, so many different things. And it's well worth digging into. If you're going to use something for your AppSec dashboards and you don't have anything yet for application security, well worth taking a look at this. But I don't want to do this whole video on just this piece of software, so we're going to minimize that. I'll turn it off here in a second, because the other thing is, very next one is stop. So we're going to stop it. So now that that's stopped, if I go to reload that page is dead. There's no longer anything listening on that. The next thing they have is this honeypot. So this one I find interesting because it sets up a web honeypot for you to use. So essentially, if I go back here and instead of doing 4203, we just do home, HTTPS, and I go here, I can't get a secure connection. Okay. So what if we do HTTP and 443? See what it'll kick back to us. But this honeypot essentially listens on port 443. So if I bring up this one and do PSAUX grep honey sudo HB honeypot. Oh, actually, it looks like it assigned it a different port. Netstat -ANO. Where are you at? Grep honey. Nothing. All right. So we are listening. Those are connected. Interesting. It's not giving me anything back. So there's something there. But yeah, this is all just a... Why do I have shell number 1 here? Okay. So this is a honeypot that will allow you to connect, listen, do different things. I've tried scanning it, and when I scan it, it actually did absolutely nothing for me, which is why this was why I was looking for Nmap. So if I do Nmap, we'll do -A127.0.0.1. Whoops. Oops, I don't want that. I want... So it'll run a quick scan. We'll see if anything's listening. So we have one service listening, and it is on what port? So we do get a certificate for it, and 443 filtered, no response. And then, of course, because we were running Postgres, that is what is used for Detect Dojo. That's listening as well, and this is filtered. So I'll have to do some more looking into that honeypot. Again, if somebody looks into this honeypot feature. I've been looking for information on it. Unfortunately, every time I try to find something, it gives me HB honeypot. It always takes me to Kali's page, which it says it's supposed to be listening on 443. So it looks like it is. And I need to find... Oh, there we go. HB honeypot. Heartbleed. That's what it's trying to do. So, bogus SSL heartbeat response unless it detects the start of a byte pattern similar to that used in demo for Heartbleed. So if you are looking for Heartbleed, it basically opens up and will run, give you responses as if you have Heartbleed running. So I do not have that exploit downloaded, so I'm not going to try to run it on my own, but it is pretty cool. So if you are trying to set up honeypots to catch people scanning you or whatever the case may be, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. It's always fun to run on your own system too and see what type of results you get. So let's clear that. Next on the list, we have Multigo. Multigo allows you to visualize, map a bunch of data. All right, and this is the Community Edition, 4.3 for Kali. You can put a lot of plugins in here. I don't have it activated. Oh, crap. All right, I didn't activate it. But essentially, it's a really cool tool for visualizing OSINT information and social media and things of that nature. So when you're gathering information, Maltego is really cool. I don't use it as often as I used to, but it's still a nice tool to have, nice tool to look at. So if you get the time, register for the Community Edition. Play around with it. It's pretty neat. Miriam. So this is one of those ones that I was actually doing some research into earlier. Let me find it. So, OWASP Miriam. So this one gathers a ton of OSINT data. Again, this is another one of those tools that I'm not digging up data on people right now or on companies, so I'd rather not. But if you look at it, it'll get footprint, OSINT, it'll search the web, a lot of different things. There is one command I will run just for fun because I saw it here. Where'd it go? Crawler, Amazon. So find PDFs for search engines. Let's see. You can crawl pages. You can do a DNS brute force. You can extract links. So much you can do with this. Again, not something I'm going to do right now solely because I don't have a contract right now to pen test anybody. And I don't have a lab set up to actually go do this stuff. But you can identify web applications, frameworks, plugins, languages, operating systems. You can search for emails, usernames, errors. You can use regex, so get good with regex because that's always fun. You can brute force subdomains, files, directories, and top-level domains. And then you can find entry points for forms, inputs, URLs with parameters, GET requests. So it helps you do... Those parameters can tend to be vulnerable when not sanitized correctly. So finding these entry points is huge. All right. So that if you can find them, that's where your SQL injections come into play. That's where sometimes you can get directory traversal. There's a few different things that you can get with entry points like this. So it's pretty neat that it'll find that for you. And then you can detect web application firewalls with 50 different payloads. So a lot of cool stuff here. There's OSINT modules, search modules. You don't need API keys. A lot of what I've run in the past have used API keys. So it's pretty cool that it'll do it without those. And then Iris is an experimental section for machine learning. And I don't know what NLP is, but and different algorithms. So well worth checking out if you have the time. And if you're on contract to do a pen test, it doesn't hurt to give it a shot and see what you can do with it. This was a new tool to me. I've played with a bunch of different tools and recon tools, kind of like Recon NG and the Harvester and things of that nature that have always been in Kali. So this is newer. It's well worth taking a look at if you want to take time. And again, this will be down in the description below. Let's see, what was the next one? Nipper, Network Infrastructure Configuration Parser. So it takes a network infrastructure device configuration, processes the file, and details security-related information. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to this link. Open link. Hey, didn't find it. Nipper Kali Purple. Let's see what they give me. Nipper-NG. Observations about the security configurations of many different device types, such as routers, firewalls, and switches. And again, I am not running this on my own network. I do not have a lab set up to be able to run these. But it is pretty neat that it'll look for security issues. And again, this is one of those things where it's all for that vulnerability management side of things. You don't know what you don't know. So running tools like this on your network are not a bad thing as long as you're authorized, because then you can get ahead of the game, find your vulnerabilities, or at least the low-hanging fruit that tools like this would find, and be able to go about really making things a lot better for your organization. So if I were you, I would definitely try to get authorization to use tools like these so that you can push forward and hopefully help your security, your risk footprint. OSR framework. Let's see what this one. So like some of these, I ain't gonna lie, I'm looking through them as you are, all right? Or we're looking through these at the same time. So we can do alias generator. So generate a list of candidate usernames based on known information, verifies if email addresses matches the pattern. Warnings are available. So let's take a look at OSR framework. OSR framework. So installation, basic usage. So you got USUFY. What? I'm so confused. Try userify, mailify, and so on. But what are they locally? So on a path, blah blah blah. So identify social media profiles using a given nickname. Ah. Okay. So if we do this, let's just see. Let's have some fun with this one since I know which nicknames I have out there. USUFY. We're going to have some fun with this one. -N. And we'll say Cyber Warrior Studios. And -P Twitter. See if it finds anything. Let's see. So if we go to cat./profiles.csv, nothing there. So let's see what we have. Open folder. Nope, absolutely nothing there. So it didn't find anything. So what if we do this? So, see what that gives me. So there is a Twitter, Cyber Warrior. So there's a Cyber Warrior ST. So interesting. You can. I really like what this does. Oh, there we go. We got it right above there. So if we do Studios and we say Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. See what this gives me. So it says they all exist. Interesting, because I do not have a Cyber Warrior Studios alias on Twitter. So I will have to take a look and see if somebody's stealing it. But, so if we go, oh, we can actually click this link. Account doesn't exist. So it doesn't seem that it will... check the hacking.md file. Okay. So it creates them, but it's not actually letting you know whether or not it exists. Inputs list of nicknames, outputs known profiles and social media using those nicknames. Well, we know that one is non-existent. We just checked. I know this one exists because this one's mine. See, there it is. And then I know the other one exists, at least should exist, because, yep, once again, that's mine. So, interesting. All right, so the Twitter one is a lie. We just saw that profile does not exist. The only way that one exists is actually under ST1, because at the time, I wasn't sure on how Twitter worked, and I didn't feel like redoing everything. All right, moving on, next tool. We're already 25 minutes into this. So if we do identify, OSR, searchploit. So searchploit, what this does is allows you to search for exploits within exploit DB. So you would use searchploit and you're able to do, there's a lot you can do with it. But yeah, this will actually look through exploit DB that is actually on your box already. So it downloads their entire database. So it's good to keep this updated, but that's how you would go through and find different exploits. Next one, Spiderfoot and Spiderfoot CLI. These are open source footprinting tools or social media tools, so you can get a lot of information using this. Spiderfoot's actually really cool. That's the CLI. What if we use the this one? It pulls up the exact same thing. Okay. So yeah, you can listen on it, open it up, go. It's a web interface, and they have a paid version that allow you to do a lot. This is the free version. I'd go through, check it out, or if you want me to dig more into it, let me know. Again, comments help me gear the way this is going to go. So please comment down below if you want to see more of any specific tool, and I'll do more research into it and kind of go over it with you. Tiger is one I've never heard of before. Not gonna lie, never heard of this one. But it is a Unix security checking system. So what this will do is it'll go through and check the security of a bunch of different things. So if I go here and let's do Tiger Unix checking, audit and intrusion detection tool. So that's pretty cool. There's intrusion detection also. So I would go here. Again, I would go through, take a look at what all it has to offer. I don't have anything besides this one variation on Linux running right now, and I'm not going to dig into it as far as what could be missing. But just another detection tool and audit tool for find your vulnerabilities. And then I think, what do we have? WAPD. What is this one? WAP, Web Application Vulnerability Scanner. It's another open source web application scanner. You'll see things like this, especially with like WP Scan is a WordPress scanner that does the same thing, only specifically for WordPress. So this will scan a bunch of other things. And then we have Witness Me, which will do screenshots and screen grabs from different websites. So if we do Witness Me on GitHub, I was actually looking at this one earlier. A lot of people use it. It's actually really cool, but it allows you to go through websites, take screen grabs, and then it'll give you the link. So it advises load balancers, a lot of stuff it can do. So worth taking a look at if you want to, if you get around to it. So much that you can be that can be done with this tool. Byte Loader or Byte Bleeder rather has a bunch of good tools on. I love his repo. There's so many good things here. Crack Map Exec, Witness Me. So it's a web inventory tool. Take screenshots of web pages using PyPeter. Headless Chromium provides extra bells and whistles to make life easier. But I really like the tools that he comes out with. Crack Map Exec is golden. And then we have Zap, which if you know what Burp Suite is, Zap is from OWASP, and it is the free and open source version of a Burp Suite type software. So it allows you to do web scanning and web injection, things of that nature. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, but again, that's more into the web application security side, and just honestly something that I do when I can, but not something I have become like a master at. I always talk to friends and have to go through and you know, work things out that way. It is not something that I have truly delved too much into, but OWASP Zap I have used in the past. It's pretty cool. And again, it's a free version of Burp Suite, essentially. I mean, Burp Suite has a lot more. 2 different companies create them. Don't think that, you know, one is necessarily better than the other. A lot of these things just come down to preference. I like Zap. I like Burp Suite. They both have their good and bad, depending on how you like layouts and things of that nature. Some have things, others don't. So I would definitely take a look at it if I were you and see what you can do with it. I know Hack the Box has a bunch of, and TryHackMe have a bunch of web app stuff that allow you to play with OWASP Zap and dig into it. And as well as OWASP has its own, I think it's Juice Shop is the one, I believe, where you would really get to test out Zap. So they have their own lab that you can use to test out and actually play around with it. But otherwise, that is all of Identify. So some pretty cool stuff. Again, a lot of this I'd like you to take a look at and let me know which of these tools, if any, you would like me to go into more detail on. Again, if I can't do it, I will let you know in the comments. Maybe I don't have the lab, I don't have the application, whatever the case may be. And who knows, maybe some of them will go live on a Tuesday night and just do it live after I'm done working. But the goal is to get through all of these. So what I will do is anything that you want to dig further into, we'll do later on after I cover all 5 different sections and kind of the good and bad about the different applications that are there. Now, otherwise, this has been another amazing episode of Tech Tuesday. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm sure I may have made some mistakes. If there are any mistakes, if there is something you want to inform our viewers about, please drop it in the comments down below. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Saying that, I will see you all next week, or if you tune in on Fridays or on Wednesdays, I have shows almost all week. So tune in. See you next time. Love you all. Take care. Keep fighting, warriors.